Alrighty, well, if you're all set to begin, get this train a rolling.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, hello everyone. As you already know, my name is Jared, and today I'm here with Dr. Goku, who is the vice president over at Guardians Mental Health, which is a mental health program that primarily focuses on providing a lot of resources for gamers and a lot of people in the gaming world. But of course, I want to hear from him. I want to learn more about the benefits of mental health, what you guys are doing, and just have a nice conversation. This has been something that I've been honestly super hyped over. So I am ready to go. I've got cozy blanket. I got a cup of tea ready to go. We are all as snug as a rug here. If you want to introduce yourself, let us know a little bit of what is Guardians at MH and who are you?
Well, thank you for having me. So my name is Dr. Goku. That's my online name. Most people know me as that. Real name is Dr. Jean-Luc Williams. I am a licensed clinical psychologist in New Brunswick, Canada. With Guardians MH, I am the vice president, and I'm also the program director. So what is Guardians Mental Health? We are a 501c3. It's a registered nonprofit in the US where we focus on providing tools, awareness, strategies, awareness for the gaming community for mental health. And we do that a variety of ways. Our main programs are our mental health kits. We have the digital versions that anyone can get either online, they can get it through our app, or you can get it a physical one in conventions, or you can request one from our website. What is included in the kits is a variety of resources, tools, fidget items that are all evidence-based. So they're built by mental health professionals or validated by other mental health professionals. So we've worked with psychologists, social workers, licensed therapists throughout the US, Canada, kind of around the world to make sure that what is inside the kit is something that we would provide our day-to-day clients. They're not a replacement for therapy, but more so to be used in conjunction with a therapist or to help someone build their self-care toolkit. We have a variety of mental health kits. I think right now we're up to 8 different versions of our mental health kits. You can also access all of the digital versions, like I said, on our app. And the app, again, is free, doesn't collect any data. It also houses our RTS bot. His name is Steward, which is a mental health resource bot that delivers 24/7 access to vetted mental health resources. Again, either built in-house by me or someone else on the team, or vetted by someone else on the team to make sure that what is suggested is something that we would recommend. It can be used on the app. It can be used on any web browser. And it can also be integrated into a Discord server or a Twitch stream to provide on-demand access to mental health resources.
That's incredible. Yeah, I learned about Guardians Mental Health over at PAX East this year over in Boston, and I got an opportunity to see one of those packets. So, Joe on the team, thank you for making mine. How big is the team? Like, is it a small team or?
It is a very small team. In terms of directors, we are 3. So me, Joe, and we also have Blake. He is our veterans director, so he's an active service member and a psychologist in the U.S. military. But it's a very small team. Kind of started back in 2018, 2019, and we've kind of steadily grown ever since, but we've kind of always stayed a very small team.
Nice. And so why specifically, it seems as though mental health has always been something important, and it seems in more recent years, mental health is starting to become something that is people are more comfortable talking about. A lot of people are starting to get the help that they need, or are reaching out for resources. So, but in the gaming world, it's been kind of lackluster. So why specifically is Guardians focusing on gamers or people in that environment?
Well, our origin story kind of came from a couple people just playing Destiny. So we come from Destiny, the Destiny community, and kind of checking in with one another. And you kind of grow these bonds with people, and you get to know them, uh, and you kind of get to know how they sound like, and when they're having a good day, when they're having a bad day. And you could tell when someone was kind of having an off night or a bad night. And it's about reaching out and providing support to them. You kind of never know who that person really is, other than like the handle that you have online or that online personality that you have, unless you've met them in real life. But you kind of never know what they're going through. And you may not know that you might just be that only person's interaction in a day, and you can really make a difference. Just hearing, hey, how you doing? How was your day? Just providing an ear to listen and to be someone to feel close with. And we know that gaming more and more so has become more a solitary activity. The days of couch co-op have kind of gone by. While I would still love to have some really good couch co-op games, we play with people, but we're all on our own separate consoles or PCs, playing on our own screens. So we're no longer in kind of close proximity with people. Whereas years ago, you would go to an arcade or you would hang out at friends' places to have like Halo LAN parties. It's no longer something that we do. And even as a society, we've become more individualistic, more isolated, and humans aren't meant to be isolated. We are meant to connect with people. We thrive with interactions. And we saw that, again, gamers are a in need population, and being gamers, we thought we could actually make some kind of a difference.
And I would say you already are. I mean, it seems I've
Thank you.
read a lot about the work. It seems like you're doing incredible. Um, yeah, I have to agree in that. Is that unfortunately, it's a lot of people are more isolated. I mean, I feel like a lot of people turn to COVID-19 during the pandemic as though that was like something that made people isolated. But it even seemed before then, a lot of people just like to kind of stay by themselves. Would you
So
say there
COVID
was?
didn't make people isolated, it just made people more isolated.
Mm-hmm,
So it kind of
exactly.
exacerbated what was already there.
Right. It's kind of like when you already see a problem, and then suddenly more is added onto it. It's just going to make it. It's going to make it worse, unfortunately. But there's resources out there that can help. So I, you mentioned Destiny specifically. So I unfortunately have never played Destiny, but I know it's like an online community game. Um,
It's a
with
looter shooter.
oh, okay. Well then, there we go.
So kind of like Borderlands, but with like the online MMO aspect.
Okay, yeah. So we already see a lot of people in like online communities. That's always been kind of around with like places like Reddit or Discord, like we're on now, trying to like form that community. Um, do you think it would be beneficial for us to go back into the couch co-op community, or do you like how how beneficial is more like internet gameplay kind of idea?
Well, it is twofold. One, the couch co-op is a lot of fun, but the thing is people are all over the world now, and you make friends that aren't necessarily living down the street. Or people get busy, they have kids, they have work, they have different schedules, so it's very hard to schedule a time to actually have like couch co-op games. I know me and my friends, we schedule like once or twice a year where we can actually all meet up because we all live in the same city to actually play like Super Smash Brothers or Mario Kart and some other party games. But it's so hard to organize with everyone's schedule. But with the advent of online gaming, you can hop on, see who's on, and connect in a game in mere seconds. And you
Yeah.
can make very good friends with people that are around the world, like schedule permitting.
And it's incredible too. Of you can play with your friends, but you could also play with complete strangers. With places like virtual reality now, where granted, I'm not meeting this person, but to have more of an almost physical aspect of saying hello to a person that you're right could be across the world is absolutely incredible. So let's before we jump into like mental health and gaming together, let's just take a step back and focus on mental health today, just around the world. Are there any common mental health challenges that you're seeing, like in the gaming community or beyond?
Well, within the gaming community, you'll see the, again, standard anxiety, depression, some trauma. There's also going to be a lot of neurodivergency because a lot of people that are neurodivergent tend to flock towards these interests because they are extremely stimulating. But also, a lot of people that feel very socially isolated, socially rejected, um, that have difficulties thriving in life for a whole variety of reasons will turn to games because they provide the immediate feedback. They make you feel good. They make you feel as though you're contributing to something bigger than yourself. And games are designed to give you that feedback, whereas real life kind of doesn't. So you can grind in any game. You'll get XP. You will level up. You'll get a trophy or an achievement, and it'll make you feel like you accomplished something. But then you go to work, and your boss like slaps a couple files on your desk, and they want that by the end of the day. There's no fanfare. There's no flashing lights. You just do the work as you're expected to, and then you go home.
Goodness, yeah, I'm going to be a full time teacher this upcoming school year, and I would absolutely love it if it was like new level unlocked. You did it. You taught a kid. That would be great.
And it's the whole premise behind, even in therapy, we call it gamification. If we can gamify things, again, it increases motivation.
Oh,
We're all little lab rats wanting to have that block of cheese at the end, and again, that's why I have an Apple Watch, and you get motivated by closing your rings, and it gives you something to thrive for.
yeah, we call it it's the exact same thing in education with it's like learning through play kind of idea. But that's mainly what's odd is that's mainly elementary students I've noticed. But once you get into like middle school and high school, it's all about grades. It's all about it is unfortunately all about that grind, but without a reward at all. And that seems to transfer over to many people's work. So I think
I used to
you're
work
spot on.
at a university. I was the university psychologist at a
Hmm.
university here for uh, 5 years. I don't remember exactly how long. And a lot of the students that I worked with hit that like academic wall because they were grinding. They didn't really know who they were in high school, but they got really good grades and they uh, got accepted to one of the top universities in the country. But the thing with a top university in the country, it means a lot of big fish to that university. So they were no longer like that kid that was top of the class. They were just ordinary. They were no longer exceptional. and their entire identity crumbled.
Yeah, which can be scary enough to go from valedictorian to, like you said, average or normal. Um, so going back to gaming, I guess, in that kind of aspect of feeling like when you play a game, you're essentially taking the role of the hero, and you're able to explore these different worlds. Um, now,
Well, how else can you be a Jedi one day, a wizard the other day, and a pirate the next day?
fair enough, and especially you can play them by yourself. You could play it with other people you don't know, so it's all over the place. Um, when it comes to those games, though, I mean, granted, this is a gaming channel, so all the time, like, I feel like my number one question is always like, well, do you think that games cause violence? Or like that's been asked since.
Research has shown no.
Yes, which
Countless
thank you.
countless studies has shown that no, it does not cause violence. It can increase aggression, but it does not cause violence. And gaming and kind of everything fandom has been lumped into this moral panic since the 80s and 70s.
Yeah.
And kind of every new piece of tech goes through a whole moral panic. I gave a presentation on this last year at a convention, just called Gaming Does Good, and kind of reflects one of the resources that we have in one of our mental health kits, the esports focused one, where we touch on why gaming does good. And it kind of goes from the public perception that people have. So there was a book back in 2008 where the author, Williams, not related, so I'm not affiliated with that person, where they said that game players are stereotypically male and young, pale from too much time spent indoors, and socially inept. As a new generation of isolated and lowly couch potatoes, young male game players are far from aspirational figures. And I don't think there is a more degrading quote to really sum up people's perception of gamers. It doesn't take into account people that have made careers playing games, people that aren't like pale couch potatoes. There are people that are extremely healthy. If you think about esports players or some streamers, they're extremely healthy. But it touches on, again, that moral panic that really stems from, I think it was the 1970s, because people don't understand gaming. They don't take a moment to actually understand what it is. It's not just bleeps and bloops and pixels on a screen. It's, well, arguably the greatest piece of storytelling in any medium we have.
I full-heartedly agree. It is. Granted, I'm not one to say that one art form is better than the other, but it is so much better to have control over the story and feel like you are making an impact. It is just amazing, those kinds of games. In fact, I had recently, I made a video where my parents had like those view of video games of like the Mortal Kombat ages, like the original back in like the 80s and 90s. And I wanted to showcase to them of like, no, games have improved not only graphically, but story-wise, emotionally, it is just as good as like Hollywood films. And I remember my dad was like, there's no way.
Even more.
Oh yeah. But I told him like, I can show you one game that would do it. And I showed him God.
Which game you choose?
I did I think it was like 2016, 2018, the God of War.
Oh, the Dad of War.
The Dad of War, the boy.
Boy.
And it was incredible because at first he's like, yeah, see, it's just blood and gore and everything. And by the end, he was going, but he doesn't understand that
Hmm.
the role he's got to play. It's the boy is trying, but he's trying to be a dad. And I'm like, that was a perfect game. And then for my mom, I had her play It Takes Two
Hmm.
uh, shortly after. And granted, one of those are probably less stress-inducing for the topic we're talking about. But
True.
what kind of games would you recommend people to play? That not necessarily ones that focus on mental health, because there are plenty of games that do, but certain games that might be helpful for them at certain times in their life.
There's quite a number of ones. One that I can think of, there was a study done on people that go through a traumatic event, and to help the brain not hang on to some of the traumatic events and elements of the traumatic event, the study showed that playing Tetris helps
Oh,
with the brain's ability to properly process a traumatic event. And again, an old school classic game like Tetris can be extremely beneficial. A game that I tend to fall into time and time again when, again, I just need a moment to relax, to just decompress, is that game company's Flower. I don't know if you ever played Flower.
oh, absolutely, yeah.
And it is probably one of the most relaxing games you can ever play.
Especially the
If you,
thing that it's been a while, but there's that one level where you start as the pedal and you're like going through the caves super
yeah,
fast, and it's just then you go out into an open field. It is a game that has no story that you could play for hours and hours. Is there
there are games like Plane. A friend of our organization, um, they made a game where it teaches you how to meditate.
oh,
So Plane is a good one. I tend to fall into playing Journey. Again, another game from that game company. They hit the nail on the head on a couple games, just really illustrating the whole concept of the hero's journey, making you feel like you accomplished something.
yeah, especially in a different way than most games, because it's like going back to God of War for example. It's like you beat the level by uh, killing an enemy or destroying a giant mountain kind of idea, and like at the time that's great. Uh, but I like Journey and Flower are games that allow you to pause and reflect, which is something not many games I remember growing up with have done, but there seems to be more games coming out focused on that, which has been great to be like,
Like Stardew Valley, Animal Crossing.
yep,
They're really good games to really unwind. But if we're talking like presentations of mental health, there are also really good games that depict mental health in really good ways, because more often than not, mental health, even in like movies and most media, it's used as a trope.
yeah, unfortunately,
So, but there are some games that really touched on what it feels like to suffer from some of the mental health disorders. Again, another friend of the organization, their game called Duru. So it's about mole rats and depression, and you're playing
that's
as
a
a
good
mole
pitch.
rat that gets burnt out, and then there's like a depression monster that spawns, and you have to go through the game taking care of the depression monster that's always trying to foil everything that you're doing.
Interesting.
If you think of another good presentation, something like Hellblade, that really depicts voice hearing.
Voice hearing? What
Yeah,
is?
so hearing voices. So
Oh,
psychosis, schizophrenia.
got it. Yeah. The idea of mental health being a trope, it's very odd watching a lot of movies from the 90s and early 2000s where there is a character who quote unquote has depression, but it's presented in a very stereotypical way or almost like villainized kind of way. But we're starting to see it a little bit different now.
There's a better understanding of mental health because a lot of people, again, if we go back to like the start of uh, the whole mental health field back in the 1800s, it was kind of lock people away, get them out of society because they are disruptive. And psychology, psychiatry as a field has greatly evolved. Even if we look back to like the 70s and one flew over a cuckoo's nest,
Hmm.
things have greatly changed. But people still have these preconceived notions in the same way that they have these preconceived notions about mental health or about video games because again it brings about that moral panic. Because what is a moral panic? It's a widespread feeling of fear that generally comes about from something that a society feels or community feels that it threatens their values, their interests, their well-being. But generally, this fear is very irrational. It we can uh, look back at history to like 400 BC to the time of Plato, where the written language created a moral panic.
Yeah. It.
Fast forward to the 1800s, the telephone. It created a moral panic because people thought, oh, people will be constantly distracted because they're talking on the phone. In the 50s, comic books created a moral panic because of Frederick Wertham and his perception of, or his book, The Seduction of the Innocent. And we go back to like the 70s. Video games were seen as murder simulators. Um, and then we go back to like the 90s, and even now, go back to like Mortal Kombat or Grand Theft Auto, which these games kind of led to the creation of the ESRB.
And now we have AI for our current time mortal dilemma. It seems.
Oh, AI can, if used for good, can be extremely beneficial, but not everyone's going to use it for good.
No, and that's a whole other other realm. I will say I read I'm gonna sound like my parents here for a minute. I read an article recently on Facebook where
Ooh, Facebook.
I know really dating myself here, but it was talking about how a lot of Gen Z is actually forming not like romantic side, but like more relationships with AI and artificial intelligence. A couple games have come out, including one called AI Therapist. I just found, which is
Yeah, there was one that I started playing a while ago. Let me open up my Steam library.
oh
It
yeah,
was
go ahead.
Sin Therapy.
Oh, is that similar to like ChatGPT?
Kind of because you play someone that is like coding a therapist, kind of AI.
Ooh. And what's it called?
Sin Therapy,
Sin.
SYN Therapy.
Oh, that Sin Therapy. Okay, maybe if I type in game and not just because it was just giving me synonyms of therapy. Type in AI, we're sending it. Yeah, so it seems very uh very similar. Well, kind of that where that one's that one's an actual story. This one is actually, and I could never figure out for the life of me how to make it work. But it focuses on this idea that you put ChatGPT into the game, and then you were talking to a therapist about what's going on, and it is giving actual answers back. From your point of view, do you think that's something that could be helpful down the road? Is it, like, granted, it's taking away jobs. We get that, and that's more economy. But is this a healthy route? Is this something that people should avoid?
It's kind of the same thing within, like, if we look at medicine or even through law. The thing with AI is we never know what they will be saying, if it's credible, if it's evidence based, if it's rooted in science. Because AI just pulls stuff from the library that it has. But when it comes to like the interaction that you have, the danger with like the AI or ChatGPT therapy relates to the AI's not talking back at you, it's talking with you and answering back at you exactly what you want. Whereas, again, with a therapist, that's kind of not what we do. Yeah, we can validate, we can agree, but our job is to also call people out if they're doing something that they shouldn't,
Yeah. And
to help guide them to a different perspective rather than constantly agreeing. And will there be a day where my job is in danger from AI? Probably. But right now, I very much am hesitant and afraid of AI in terms of the dangers that it poses to people. Where, again, AI will regurgitate the things you want to hear, and we have cases where AI has told people to unalive themselves. We have AI telling a meth addict that taking a little bit of meth is okay.
I mean, that's why at the bottom it always says check for mistakes. Kind of like
Yeah.
don't always trust it. Um,
But the thing is when you're dealing with a very vulnerable population, kind of won't check those things.
and especially when you're talking about addiction and addicts, you're almost searching for somebody to say like this is okay. Or I mean, like you hear that a lot with like Alcohol's Anonymous kind of idea of just, well, one drink won't hurt, or I can go out and have a couple of drinks. It's like, if you were healthy, yes, but this is a problem for you specifically. So now you don't even need to get a real person to say that. You can have a robot say, hey, it's all right. And definitely going to have some negative outlooks.
And again, the thing with AI, and again, it's preying on these vulnerable people that just want this connection with people, and AI is providing it. But it's also pulling people away from actual interactions with people because our brains can't really differentiate between someone typing versus an AI regurgitating a response.
Yeah,
Our brains aren't designed, hasn't evolved to really deal with everything in like our current society, our current world.
which
It's
can
easy to trick it.
it can lead to a lot of the fear that we were just talking about with that idea of, am I talking to an actual person or not? And I mean, we hear it all the time in like online gaming of, oh man, there's the game was great, but then they loaded it with bots. So now you go from, I think I'm playing with real people, to no one's here. It's just a ton of robots, and that can definitely more feel isolating. Going back to games, I happen to think during that conversation is we've been talking a lot about how games are helping people who may be going through something on their own, something in private, which could be anxiety, depression, and the like, which are very serious topics. Um, and of course, there is benefit of people who aren't going through these things, but actually playing these games as well in order to learn a bit more about it. Do you think that there's games out there that are doing this or kind of presenting mental health to people? Like, could these games actually be helping people learn more about mental health as a whole?
Oh, absolutely. Again, the the game I'll pull is Duru. The reason why I like it is one of the things I do in therapy is I use monsters as a reflection to better understand people's mental health struggles. So it's not necessarily you, like it's the anxiety monster kind of creeping in. And Duru does this really good job where depression gets in the way. And the people that are depressed will say, I know I have to do a thing, but it's so hard to do a thing because there's always these roadblocks. There's always something that kind of stops from doing it. So you're contending with depression. You have this extra weight. You have this extra barrier that a lot of people don't really understand. It's very similar to the World Health Organization. They put out a video years ago where they illustrated depression as a big black dog, where again you try to get up in the morning and the dog is sitting on your chest, and you can try all you want. You're having to move a really big dog off your chest. And the thing is you get to really work with the depression rather than against it, because the more you work against it, the more it fights back.
Yeah.
And this is why I like media nowadays that are really taking mental health as an important element and not just a trope. If you think of like Inside Out is a really good example of it. Really portraying that there's no really any bad emotions, there are just emotions. And even in gaming, really touching on difficult topics, whether it be anxiety, whether it be depression, trauma, uh, and with Hellblade, with psychosis, and it's doing it well and having people really understand what these people are going through rather than demonizing them.
Yeah. It's that I'm over here, like not like smiling, going like that's incredible news of what you're saying, because it's not, but it's been, without giving too much away of myself here and going full on, it's I've always had this thought of like in the back of my head, there's always like this physical voice or physical like opposite me going like, yeah, the video I just put out was incredible. I love the editing. I think it's going to do great. And then there's that tiny voice that's like, it could have been better. It's going to be all right. Right. And it's one of those, a lot of people have that voice, but growing up, I was like, I'm the only one who has this. And like, I must be insane for almost thinking it. And luckily enough, I've been able to talk with my friends and family about it. And they're like, nope, it's a thing that many people think about or know about. But yeah, just being able to talk to other people in some capacity is always a great help.
And, like you said, knowing that you're not the only one that's going through it, because so many people think that they are alone, that they're the only one that is dealing with all of these extremely difficult emotions. And rather than opening up and sharing, which again makes people connect and get closer, they isolate.
Yeah, and that
They don't
doesn't
share, they
make
don't
healthy.
talk. Because a lot of people are afraid. Because like unfortunately, mental health still holds a really dark stigma. Even more so if you're a gamer. So you're gonna have that double whammy.
Yeah, which is why it's always a joy of like I'll make a video on mental health in gaming, and there's very little out there that isn't just gaming or just mental health. That crossroad is a bit of a struggle. Do you like in society as a whole, do you see people being more comfortable talking about mental health than in recent years, or is it still that fear that's overtaking?
Dependent on the generation, but newer generations tend to be a lot more open.
Hmm.
However, the downside of it, the fact that so many people are much more open, opens up the door where a lot of people make content online that aren't really like evidence based. They aren't really giving the correct information. Again, there have been studies on like TikTok that show that mental health TikToks are most of it, like 90% or more, all misleading, false information. The person doesn't have any formal credentials, and it can be very hurtful or damaging towards people.
Yeah, I mean,
So it's
as
diluted the the discourse because the words that we use and how we use it are extremely important, and the label that we have is extremely important. Like someone saying, "Oh, I'm so OCD because I like things in order." So, no, you're not.
yeah,
Because if you really suffer from OCD, and the people that do suffer from OCD will be able to tell you that it is debilitating, it is like distressful, and they wouldn't wish it on anyone.
yeah, it is. It you're right with the way that people are wording it is very nervousing. Like it with I've been a substitute for a while, so I have a lot of students who will say like, "Oh, like that's triggering my ADHD," and they're not diagnosed. But then I am told that one student does have ADHD, and you can tell there's a massive difference from someone who says it versus someone who's actively trying to manage it and learn how to live in a way that is healthy for them. And it's a struggle, but it's one of those I think if they have a good community and they have people who know how to help them and good practices like over at Guardians, there can be serious beneficial help. So,
And that's the thing we try to strive ourselves on is delivering information, delivering content that is rooted in science, that is like peer reviewed, that is validated, that has been studied, rather than like pulling something out of Google
which seems like where most people instantly try to turn to is Google
or
or Bing
ChatGPT.
or ChatGPT, which is also just going online trying to figure it out. Um, if we can talk about Guardians for a little bit before we start wrapping it up, it's so Guardians. You mentioned it started a while ago. You've been able to branch out, meet a lot of new people, help a bunch of people, which has been incredible. Has there been a moment that really stands out to you during your time here where you felt like you made a difference, or you went like this is the reason we're doing what we're doing?
Probably some of the biggest moments that I feel we've had is when people share or kind of make these testimonials about like receiving the mental health kits or posting online and using some of the tools that we provide. Just that is kind of why we do what we do, but also pushing for some of these bigger studios, these bigger organizations to recognize the importance of mental health. Like I said, we came from the Destiny community, and we had kind of built a relationship with some of the Bungie developers over the years, and we've kind of been poking and prodding at them for quite a long time to include mental health more, to make it more accessible or more visible. And we had the honor of building their mental health webpage. That was, again, kind of that moment of we made it. And then this past year, they finally released the first mental health emblem in the game. And
Wow.
again, that campaign for the fundraiser, because you had to pay $10 to receive the emblem. Those proceeds went to support our organization. So finally, kind of having that more formalized recognition of we're actually doing something, and people see some of the value in just repping an emblem that says that mental health is important.
Yeah, to go from just a small team of fans to now they're reaching out and having a direct impact on their game. That is incredible. That um so a lot of people at home are likely going through a hidden battle of some kind. And it could be anything from what we've talked about to depression, ADHD, anxiety, to many others out there. And primarily, we're talking about gaming, of course. But whether they're a gamer or not, what's something that they could do to help themselves in some way?
Well, one of the first thing I say to a lot of my clients is, one, recognizing that, again, we're maybe not doing okay, admitting to oneself that we're not doing okay, and opening up to the fact, and to other people, to people that we trust, that we're not doing okay. I know a lot of people will hear this and say, well, I don't want to be a burden on people. But the people that truly care about you, they they won't think of you as a burden. They'll probably be that first step to really help you get to some of the tools and to the help that you need. Not being afraid of, like, seeking therapy. Therapy isn't just for people that are quote unquote mentally ill. Um, Sometimes you just need someone to talk to that has a different perspective than yourself. But on a more, like, in the moment, um, you're gaming, and what are some of the things that you can do? If you've been gaming a while, try the 20-20-20 rule, which is every 20 minutes, turn around, look at something 20 feet away for 20 seconds. It can help your eyes refocus and really focus on um, the four, what I like to call the four fundamental pillars of mental health, which is making sure that you're rested. I'm looking at all of you gamers that are gaming till 3 in the morning. Go to bed. Hydration. No, energy drinks don't really count. I would recommend drinking water, drinking something with electrolytes that helps the hydration. Making sure that you're nourished. Again, Doritos are delicious, but maybe eating something that's a little bit more nourishing, that has some protein, has some vegetables, some greens, some color, and interpersonal connection. Because those four fundamental pillars, if we flip them around, so if we sleep deprive someone, if we dehydrate them, if we malnourish them, and we socially isolate them, what do you think we're doing to them?
Probably not helping them out.
You're torturing them. They're the 4 basic principles of human torture. And yet we kind of do that to ourselves willingly.
It's interesting too, because I know that there's likely people out there who are like, well, no, I'm not. Like, it's not that bad, but it's one of those, if you think about if the actions you were doing currently were happening to your best friend or someone you really cared about, yeah, you would probably worry about them. So just don't do it to yourself.
We're not asking you to be perfect.
No.
Again, if you're going to bed at 3 a.m., start going to bed at 2:30. Then maybe 2:15. Then 1:45. The small increments. Because we're not asking you to climb Everest or go up Mount Doom. Just take a first step. And that's one of the reasons why I like these reflection points, like in Journey. Have you played the game Journey?
Oh yeah, made a whole video all about it.
So with Journey, you start off with you sitting and having all of these headstones, which represents every single person that didn't even get up to start the journey. So just by the fact that you got up and started moving, you're actually doing something. And sometimes that's enough. Because the hardest thing is to actually get the ball moving.
They always say that first step is always the hardest, but I don't know. It's
the laws of motion. Newton was right.
Yeah, not only a scientist, also a philosopher. It's been a while since I played Journey, so I might have to go back and play it. But yeah, no, I don't know why. I always saw the tombstones, but I always figured they were just kind of rocks and terrain. But yeah, that game goes a lot deeper than I think.
Because there's two points in the game where you see these tombstones. Right at the start, so the people that didn't even start the journey, and right after you come out of the abyss, when you start going up the mountain in the snowstorm.
Wow.
So when you come out of the abyss, people quit because it got hard. Because it's the whole hero's journey framework. Because we have about like 7 stories, and you just kind of patchwork things into it. Where you get the hero, they have a call, they refuse it. They'll meet a mentor that helps them down to the unknown world where they meet people and challenges. They enter their inmost cave, which is the abyss in the game, where you get these abilities to help you get out. But by doing so, you're going through some of the hardest challenges. It's only when you kind of get out of it where you're able to come out to the other side. And insert like fictional realm here, like Lord of the Rings, Matrix.
and it's always
Star Wars.
And it's always the idea that like it's when it gets hard, that's when people give up or they just stop trying. But that's almost when you need to try. That's when you need to go harder. But it's hard, and that's kind of the point. Is like the Lord of the Rings or Star Wars. If Frodo got to the mountain and he's like, nah, this is too difficult, we wouldn't want that story. We'd be like, oh, come on, he's right there. Like, it's just that final push.
In my book, yeah, Frodo's kind of a hero in the story, but Sam is more of the hero than Frodo.
Yep.
Because he's the one that kept pushing Frodo and motivating him forward. Yeah, Frodo had the burden, but he couldn't have done it without Sam.
Yeah, and I having that support system can really help in some way. And then there's also the opposite of going in just trying your first idea and realizing, hey, it didn't work, but we have to try something else. Going back to Inside Out, when it's been a while, but like one of the islands is collapsing, and she just jumps in a tube. Turns out it doesn't work. She's got to keep going. She's got to find a new plan.
Well, it's like the inventor of the light bulb said when they were asked, "How did you feel about like failing on the light bulb?" So no, it didn't fail. It just found like 900 ways of how to not make a light bulb.
Mm-hmm. And now here we are with tons of light bulbs all over the place.
Yeah,
It's
and,
it, it,
and LEDs and
it's something that I love telling people is, um, like I got a comment recently that's like, hey, I want to like make videos like you, and it's like that's great, but you're not, and that's kind of the point. Is you're gonna make videos your way, and the world's gonna experience your story the way that you tell it versus the way I tell it. So, to anyone out there, if you have a goal or ambition or something that you want to do, I'm always encouraging of try it. If it doesn't work, do it again. Like who's going to stop you? Pretty much, except yourself.
yeah, you
Um,
can imitate someone, but
oh
then you
yeah.
make it yours.
Even if you don't think you're going to, it's there's always a small change, or there's a certain quirk that makes you stand out, whether you like it or not. It will just happen. So I am extremely thankful that you've been very open, and you've come here tonight to talk a little bit more about mental health. And I think talking about it, I think, is always going to benefit people who may be scared to talk about it, or they don't know where to start. So, final two questions for the people out there who are listening who may be struggling. What would be your message to them? Like if you were talking to them one on one.
One of the things we like to say at Guardians, and it's kind of part of a lot of our branding, is that you are not alone. One, we are human. Two, we are gamers. Three, we are part of a greater community that, yeah, can be toxic at times, but is generally very inviting. And the fact that you're struggling doesn't mean that you're struggling alone. Other people have gone through or are going through similar things than you are. May not be the same, but that they can relate. Just because someone hasn't gone through the exact same things doesn't mean that they can't be a shoulder to cry on or have an ear to listen. And I know it's scary and it's difficult to just think about opening up, but doing so is, again, that first step. It's getting up and getting that ball rolling. And if you want to go seek professional help, again, with the Guardians MH app, or even talking with us, we'd be happy to help find you someone or help guide you to some of the resources that can help you find someone.
Well said. Yeah, and of course, in the description of this video, there's going to be tons of resources available as well, just so that you can reach out if you think you need professional help or not. Sometimes you may not think you do, and it's just great to have someone to talk to who is licensed to know how to support you through this time. So thank you again, Dr. Goku, for coming. Obviously, I'm
Thank you
gonna
for having me.
yeah, obviously, I'm gonna have a lot of resources pointed your direction, but where can they learn more about you? Where can they find out more about the resource packets? Pretty much, this is your time to shell out.
The plug away.
Go away, all
Yeah,
yours.
mainly every place on socials or everywhere is we're at Guardians MH on our website guardiansmh.org. You can reach out to us on Twitter You can reach out to us on email. I think we have a contact card through our website, or even downloading the mental health app, Guardians MH, on iOS or Android, and it provides access to all of the digital versions of the mental health kits. Just don't have access to like the actual printed materials or the physical fidget items. But if you want to have a physical mental health kit, you can always request one through our website. Or if you so happen to find us at a convention, if you can snag one of the mental health kits, we'd be happy to hand you one. However, they tend to go by rather quickly.
They do. I walked by that booth maybe 30 minutes later, and they're gone. That is it. So definitely, well,
Only at PAX. I was unfortunately not there this year, but when we do PAX, we start hiding some of them on Friday because we want to hold some off for the weekend.
Yeah, I mean, it worked.
That's why we tend to push people to the app. App is free, doesn't collect any data. We don't want your data. It is just give you access to some of the resources and the kits that we have.
I will say that actually surprised me when we were at PAX. I was so already anticipating. He was giving me the pack, and I'm like, how much is a packet? Like, I'd love to learn more about it. And he's like, no, just take it. That caught me off so much, which was
The whole thing
joy.
with the mental health kits. Me and Joe got to thinking, and this was like before COVID hit. It's like, oh well, we kind of want to like package some of these things, so we did some digging around, and we saw some like bougie online mental health kits were like $80 to $100 that gave you like a piece of incense and a Buddha statue. Oh, that's useless. And we wanted to give back and provide some of these resources, and then COVID hit. So we're like, well, let's make these kits available online, and after the fact, we then brought them to conventions, and they've been a huge hit for a lot of people, and they've helped quite a number. And it's probably the biggest thing that we are grateful for, is that there are so many people that have received these kits, or even were given these kits by people that came to convention and say, oh, my brother, my cousin, my nephew could really benefit from this.
Yeah, and it is definitely, those packets and resources are definitely going to continue helping as long as Guardians is still there. And hey, maybe it'll inspire someone else to take a step forward of helping people in the gaming world. Who's to say? Partner up with more games alongside Destiny. So that game company, reach out. We can work on something to go alongside it.
Oh, absolutely. They did really good work on those games.
Absolutely. Alrighty, well, thank you for coming, and that about does it for the interview.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. And now we can breathe and go like decompress. We're all done. Yeah. Honestly, that was fun.
Mode.
Yeah, pretty much. Almost at the end of all of these, I suddenly see the shoulders drop. It's like, we're good. We did it. They're not watching anymore.